fellas, Cinema back. Another edition. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, yan. Wonderful. As you see on your screen, your dial, however you are unfortunately joining me today, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it, gang. I'm going to tell you why. Because this show is the most poorly ran show in the history of podcasts. It is the most poorly executed show in the history of podcasts. Quality may be the worst thing in the history of media, if we're just talking about quality. But I go back and forth, gang. I go back and forth. On the one hand, I don't want to do this anymore. On the other hand, I see some of the amount of listens that come back, and I almost feel like I'm obligated to give you the goods. And it's funny because this is not the goods. This is not the goods. The thing that I'll be talking about today is the goods. Been around for a while, a little bit of an older one, 11 years old at this point. But, just bringing you one movie at a time that you've never heard of in your entire life. That's my sole purpose, is like, do I need to tell you about fucking Ant-Man and shit? No, I don't. I need to tell you about the new, the new fucking Avatar? Nope, probably won't do it. Probably will not do it unless it shakes the very foundations of my beliefs, which I don't think Avatar will. I don't think it will. All right. Attack the block. Block. Attack the block. Allow it. So this is John Boyega's Put Him on the Map. For those of you that don't know who John Boyega is, I'm sure most of you would recognize him from the old Star Wars. Star Wars is what American audiences know him as is Finn. He is Finn from Star Wars, John Boyega. Who else is in this movie, actually? You got Jodi Whittaker. She was the first female Doctor Who. The first female Doctor Who. So you got Jodi Whittaker, John Boyega. You got Alex Esmail, who plays the Pest. You got Leeon Jones, Franz, Drameh. Could you imagine that? You're an actor and your last name's Drameh? World's funny sometimes, isn't it? Simon Howard, Maggie McCarthy, Danielle Vitalis, Paige Mead, Gina Antwi, Natasha Jonas, Sammy Williams, Michael Aeo. Oh, yeah. What do you know? Oh, Michael's in this. I fucking thought I recognized that boy. I just talked about it. It was in Last Night in Soho. Shit, man. He was the one that got freaked the fuck out just trying to take the girl home and hang out. Also, Nick Frost is in this. No surprise, because the producers of Attack the Block were the same producers of Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the fucking Dead, one of the greatest movies in the history of movies. So, why am I talking about Attack the Block today? No particular reason. Just wanted to be... I felt like doing something a little special. I had the gang over on Sunday, and I was like, man, what's something short that I could put on that I personally haven't seen in a long time? Because you got to understand, I do these movie nights, or I do these screenings for people at the movie theater, and whatever we're watching, I've seen multiple times. But without fail, I've seen it multiple times. But for this one, I was like, man, and I wonder if, due to the positive feedback, if I may have made a mistake, and perhaps maybe I should have did a screening of this one in the movie theater instead of at my home with a small niche group, because the reception, unless they were lying to me, which is possible, the reception was really good, with the exception of the sauce. That is the nickname that I call her. The sauce was not having any of Attack the Block. In fact, I believe there was some threats made throughout the film and after that my ass was going to get kicked. Because something you should know, gang. So whenever I have movie nights, or even, get this, I will get people to pay to see, I could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. I will get people to pay to come to these screenings at the movie theater and not tell them what we're watching. Now, I would never pick anything that would be offensive or that people are going to walk out completely hating. Not going to say that they just loved it like I do or whatever, but I would never pick something that they completely hate. But the point of the story is that I don't ever tell people what we're watching, and that goes double if it's going to be at my home. So the sauce was just like, what are we watching? What are we watching? What genre is it? And I said, well, the genre is definitely a genre. Yeah, sorry, Sauce. I just, I thought because of how silly, even though I think one of the genius parts of this film is that everybody is playing their character straight. Everything is taken super serious, even though it's pretty light, you know? Like, if you really take a step back, like, it's just a fun film. Just a fun fucking film. And I don't know. That's kind of where my head was at going into it. And the look of horror. The look of horror on the Sauce's face. I mean, I mildly apologize, Sauce, but at the same time, grow up. I mean, we're talking, there were two men in gorilla suits, and then they did some CG teeth afterwards. Come on now. It's not like it was that bad, but she was like, but there was throats being ripped out, and I'm pretty sure I saw a head tossed across the room. That would be accurate. In a motorcycle helmet, I might add. But isn't the head getting tossed across the room in a motorcycle helmet, doesn't that make it easier to watch and almost even, dare I say, lighthearted if you see a decapitation and the head's still in the helmet and it bounces off the wall and the ground and everything? I don't know. I feel like now that's a lighter thing. If the head was not in the helmet, I feel, well, maybe that's a little darker. But the fact that it is in a helmet, now, you know, I'm not going to spoil anything. We'll just say it happens to one of the characters that we have come to know at this point in the film. And I don't know, it becomes, you, instead of going, oh, fuck, you go, oh, and I don't know if there's a difference to you guys, but it definitely is for me. Oh, fuck, that's fucked up. Look at that, did you see that? You know, like half the room was laughing, the Sauce was hiding her face. And I'm over here going, I thought this one was tame. And everybody was going to have a good time. From the producers of Shaun of the Dead, Attack the Block is a fast, funny, frightening action-adventure movie that pits a teen street gang against an invasion of savage alien monsters. It turns a London housing project into a sci-fi battleground. The low-income apartment complex into a sci-fi battleground. The low-income apartment complex into a fortress under siege. And they are all coming after Moses. Moses. And it turns a crazy mix of tough street kids into a team of kick-ass heroes. It's inner city versus outer space, and it's going to explode. I'm going to read those last two sentences again because, one, I butchered it, but two, that's the movie right there. It turns into a crazy mix of tough street kids into a team of kick-ass heroes. It's the inner city versus outer space, and it's going to explode. Going to fucking explode. So, written and directed by Joe Cornish. Joe Cornish is wrote fucking Ant-Man, fucking, what was that? The kid from the King's Court or whatever. I've actually heard really good things about that. The kid in the King's Court. I don't remember, but there is something to be said about late 2000s and early 2010s. The Kid Who Would Be King. What else has he written? He's actually written a lot of good shit. Ant-Man, The King Who Would Be King, Attack the Block 2's in pre-production. I've been hearing that for a fucking decade. And some TV shows here. But there is something to be said about films coming out of the UK, early 2000s into 2010s. It was a very, I guess the best way to describe it is, we've all seen a Guy Ritchie film, right? Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Gentleman, Rock and Rolla, one of my favorites, because Tom's in it as handsome Bob. Tom Hardy is handsome Bob. But they were very, very sharp. And I think to an extent, Edgar Wright, who helped produce this, kind of started this elite fast smash cut way of filmmaking, and that almost makes it sound like he leaves stones unturned. But anybody who's seen a fucking Edgar Wright film knows that I would argue, I'm going to make a statement to you, members of the audience. Edgar Wright has made the most rewatchable films in the past 20 years. What's that, Sean? What's that? Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, The World's End, At World's End, The World's End. I always mix up those titles because Pirates of the Caribbean 3 was that At World's End, and the Cornetto trilogy is The World's End. Fuck if I know. But also Spaced, Baby Driver, Last Night, and so he's just Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He has made the most rewatchable films in the past 20 years. Not my favorites. Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorites, and I love Hot Fuzz. I love The World's End. In fact, as time goes on, I start to like The World's End more and more and more and more. Just because there's so much little shit going on. But I digress. He started this wave of filmmaking, at least out of the UK, where you had to be sharp. You had to keep the film moving. No lulls in the story. And then Attack the Block has no downtime whatsoever. None. We start strong and we just keep on plodding until we get to the end. And I think, it's a type of filmmaking that recently you still see it, but it is not near as polished as an Attack the Block, as a Shaun of the Dead. And I'm kind of missing it, because the stuff that I'm talking about, or the stuff that I'm referring to that you see in this film, whether, the relentless pace and how it's executed visually, everything that I'm talking about right now can be done in pre-production and storyboarding. Simple as that. I'm dead serious. You don't need a shit ton of money to make a film, or you don't need a crazy amount of money to make a film the way I'm talking about making a film, or at least the way that I'm talking about how these films are made. Now, we're not talking about, effects and whatever. We're not talking about practical effects or violence or blah blah blah. That stuff that starts to add up on the bill. We're just talking about how the camera moves, how you're gonna light that shot. How does it lead into the next cut, even if they're in the same room? That can all be polished off in pre-production, storyboarding, and you'll see it every now and then these days. But I don't know what happened. It was 2004 to 2013, and then there was just this drop off, where and I can even remember thinking back then too, oh man, these guys are trying to rip off Shaun of the Dead. What was that one I fucking reviewed 2-3 years ago with Simon Pegg and Slaughterhouse Rules? So that wasn't even Edgar Wright production, but I mean, almost everything about it felt like it was trying so hard to be an Edgar Wright film. And here's the thing: what do we do in filmmaking, or at least if you're a wannabe filmmaker, writer, whatever? We stand on the shoulders of giants. We borrow from the best and we make our own shit. Oh, Slaughterhouse Rules. Now, flip side of the coin, you got things like Attack the Block. Attack the Block. It's like the Goonies meets Gremlins. The Goonies meets Gremlins. Got the practical effects in here. The creature, the alien, as it were, all practical. All practical. Looks fucking great. Let's on Guy Fawkes Night. This is where our story begins. On Guy Fawkes Night. You want to know what Guy Fawkes Night is? Is an annual commemoration observed on the 5th of November, primarily in Great Britain, involving bonfires and fireworks displays. Yes. Samantha is mugged by a gang of teenage hoodlums. So the Doctor Who lady, played by Jodi Whittaker, is mugged by a gang of teenage hoodlums, Pest, Dennis, Jerome, Biggs, and their leader, Moses, played by John Boyega. And as they're doing this, it's a soft mugging. It's a soft mugging. I mean, you shouldn't mug people, right? You shouldn't mug people at all. But, I mean, it was rather tame, if we're talking as far as mugging is concerned. You know, guns were pulled, a knife was pulled, but it was only for theatrics. It's only the theatrics. They weren't going to stab her, were they? Or maybe they would have. I don't know. Depends on if she struggled a little bit more, don't it? When a meteorite falls from this is happening as they're mugging her. A meteorite falls from the sky into a nearby car. Of course, Samantha bails. Moses searches the wreck of the car for valuables because they're hoodlums. They're hoodlums. So he's trying to, as his foiled theft. Well, it wasn't really foiled. I mean, they got her purse and a fucking ring and shit. He goes searching through the car to see if there's some valuable shit he can grab. And wouldn't you know it, a creature is in there that is not from this planet. It does, I mean, it's literally two men in gorilla suits, but it's just like there's no eyes or nose or anything. All you ever see on this creature is the mouth, which is fluorescent green, oozing fangs, which I thought the creature design is simple and fucking effective. Because if you look at the movie as at a whole, what it is, yes, it is a sci-fi creature, fighting creature movie, but at the same time, I think at its core, if you look closer, and I urge some of the people that came over on Sunday, if I urge you to look at the subtext within this film. I mean, 2 or 3 times, the holding down of certain social classes is brought up. It is. Say what you want. Well, I don't. Do people talk bad about the UK? I don't know. But just say what you want about the UK. They fucking sharp writing. Their literary skills they just blow ours away. They really do. Allow it. And I almost think that the way it's written, and this is, everybody's different in filmmaking, but this is like the genius of how films can be, is the subtext throughout it all. Yeah, there's monsters. Yeah, there's drug dealers. At one point, the monsters and a drug dealer are after Moses. But if you listen closely to the dialogue, members of the audience, there's a lot more going on behind the curtain of the film. Well, perhaps that was the wrong phrase to use, because behind the curtain would mean like, well, this is how they did the puppeteering for the practical effect. You know what I mean? If you pay attention, if you pay close enough attention, it's a pretty effective movie from start to finish, whether it be from a horror standpoint, whether it be from a drama standpoint, comedic standpoint. It's another thing that the UK does so well: perfectly timed humor. Perfectly timed. Not that I'm not bashing on the States, I'm just saying that they have a way of implementing their humor that is just so much sharper and more intelligent than you may see in the States sometimes. But that's why I kind of wanted to get on the mic and talk to you, the audience, but also the people that came over, is I urge you to rewatch that movie again, because if there's one thing about a lot of the UK films during the timeline of which I aforementioned, those, those aren't one run through. I'm not saying that you don't get the point of the movie after watching it once, but as far as all like the subtle, the little shit that goes into it, it's almost like UK filmmakers took film class very seriously. And what I mean by that, or film school very seriously, and what I mean by that is everything is not supposed to be noticed. Prime example, the cinematographer. Let's just talk about the cinematographer. Who did the cinematography for this? Tom Townend. The cinematographer's goal has always been, we're going to light the shot, we're going to make it look pretty for you, making it look beautiful and everything. But I don't want you to know that I'm setting up this beautiful shot. Me, the cinematographer, I don't want you to notice the beautiful shot because it takes you out of the movie. Now, I call bullshit. In fact, I did an interview with three fellows. Great interview, super fun gentlemen. Powell Robinson, Patrick Young, William Ford Conway. But I was talking to Powell, who did the cinematography for Threshold, and he said the same thing. Well, I don't really want to be flashy, and I don't really want you to notice. And I called him out. I called him out right then and there. I said, that's bullshit, Powell. That is bullshit. People like me want to notice your work. And I'm telling you right now, the layman, who isn't me, or somebody who's just not, super invested in films like myself, they ain't going to notice, man. I promise you. There's not a haphazardly film goer that's going to be like, that was an amazing shot. It doesn't happen, dude. It does not happen. And now if you're only doing it for us wannabe filmmakers or people that would notice, if the only reason you're trying to be subtle and trying to hide it, so that us won't notice, well, I think you're an idiot and you're wasting your time. Stop hindering your film because you don't want to be, ever since film school, I always thought that was so stupid. Because, wow, if the shot's so good, it'll take you out of the film. Do you have any idea how fucking crazy that sounds? If the shot is so good, it'll take you out of the film. You'll be noticing the shot more than the film. Are you high? Do you even hear yourself right now? Right. Back off that a little bit. But you get back to the film for a little bit. Yeah, so Moses gets scratched by the fucking animal. The creature runs the way, but the gang, as the creature takes off into the neighborhood park, the boys go after him. They chase it. They kill it. They want to gain fame and fortune. But first, they don't know what the hell to do with it, so they actually go see their cannabis dealer, Ron, played by Nick Frost, who's so subtly fucking hilarious in this. He is definitely the funniest part of this film. Just the way everything is undersold, which is, I love that. I love deadpan stuff way more than I love. Don't get me wrong, I love the slapstick, exaggerated comedy as well, but I definitely am much more of a dry, deadpan, serious look as hilarious shit is being said. Anyway, more objects fall from the sky. Eager to fight the creature, the gangs arm themselves and go to the nearest crash site. However, they find these aliens are much larger and more threatening. Fleeing the aliens, the gang is intercepted by two policemen. I don't want to. That's a great scene. I don't want to ruin anything for people that haven't seen it. So sorry, gang, who came in on Sunday and watched it. But that ambulance sequence is very well done from a technical aspect, especially if you are talking in terms of how to spend your money for an action sequence like that. Couldn't be done better. What do you mean by that, Sean? When one of the minor spoiler alert for people that haven't seen it. When one of the cops killed, do we see the cop killed, gang? No, we do not. What do we see? We see a splash of blood going on the ambulance window where Samantha is looking out as these policemen. We didn't get to see someone ripped apart. And these fast images, these smash cuts that I was talking about, if utilized well, you can sell this sequence, make it terrifying, and you're not spending a whole lot of money. You want to know what we see as those two policemen are attacked? A lot of smash cuts where the camera is moving so fast, you almost have to assume what's going on. And obviously the assumption is the police officers are being attacked by aliens, right? But if you take a closer look, if you did a frame by frame by frame by frame by frame, we are not spending a lot of money in that sequence. Testament to how good the UK filmmakers are. You know, Joe Cornish there's a reason why he's writing Marvel movies now. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason why he's huge. Yeah, I can't believe this movie is fucking 11 years old. Don't feel like it, do it. Don't feel like it at all. What else about this film was fucking great? Oh, the fucking soundtrack from top to bottom is so good. So good, especially the end sequence as they're all chanting Moses. In fact, right before that sequence is my favorite sequence of the film. For the gang that saw it, the sequence that I'm talking about is when they light the fireworks and he is running through the apartment. Slow-mo. That is so well done. I can't even describe to you how well done it is. A mixture of practical and CG. And doing it well. You know, I think anytime you're going to use CG in a film, I don't mind. Just make it fucking quick. Because the quicker you make it, the less likely I am to notice it. And if I notice it and it doesn't play well, you know, me and Matthew Ninneber were just talking about this, about his film Death Valley. You want to feel that creature. You want to be able, like, if you just happen to show up on set, you want to be able to touch it. That is going to impact you more than, you know, somebody sitting on a computer that created, you know, whatever. Like, at least to us, mate, us like it. Us feel the creature a little bit more when it's actually real, don't we? At least I do. I can't speak for the gang that was here, but, you know, the look on all their faces, people were jumping when they were supposed to jump, they were laughing when they were supposed to laugh, and they were intrigued when they should have been intrigued. You don't sell that movie, I swear to God. And you know what? I'm gonna make a statement right now, a bold statement right now. That movie is, I'm not gonna say shit. I almost did. That movie is not near as good if those creatures are done in CG. Telling you right now, not near as good, not near as fun, not near as, you know, scary. I'm quote unquote scary. Sorry, Sauce, but it's not that scary. Grow up. I'm just kidding. I love you. But it's true. Like, you know, I don't think that the moments that were meant to be terrifying would even be close to terrifying if the creatures were done in CG. Not even fucking close. I mean, it would be terrible. So practical effects, the soundtrack, the cinematography. I mean, the soundtrack's so good. I will say this, though. It fucking pisses me off that you can't find the soundtrack anywhere but, like, a low-quality tracks on YouTube. Like, it's not on Spotify. It's not on Apple. It's fucking bullshit, mate. Because that last, and I'm sure the gang that came on Sunday would agree, that last song that plays as they're starting to chant Moses, is that, well, one, isn't it? I mean, it's a pretty cool song. Get you pumped and a little amped, right? But also, perfectly used for when it's being used. Like, I think that when everybody starts chanting Moses, spoiler alert, but you don't know why. You don't know why they're chanting Moses. People who haven't seen it, grow up. I don't know why I'm on a grow up kick today. But you want to talk about pairing a song perfectly with the way story ends. Don't get no better than that, mate. Don't get no better than that at all. Who did the music for this? Basement Jaxx, Jaxx, and Stephen Price did the soundtrack for this, and super bummer because you can't find like a high quality. I tried to listen to it today and I was like, God damn it, dude, you can't find it anywhere. And then the playlists that are on Spotify are like 2 songs and they're not the one, like they're actual songs, or they weren't like actually done by Basement Jaxx and Stephen Price. So, you know, it's just, you know, like, that's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's a sound, like, that's, you know, that's not Stephen Price in Basement Jaxx. You know, they're using somebody else's shit. But it's kind of shocking that you can't, because I know that the soundtrack was so widely received by everyone that it's just kind of shocking that it wouldn't be a staple wherever you listen to your music. But then again, you know, music game is fucking weird these days. Who knows? Maybe Basement Jaxx and fucking Stephen Price were like, pulled a Neil Young, well, not out of solidarity, but pulled a Neil Young and was like, no, I want to make money off of this hard work I did for the music for Attack the Block. I don't give a fuck. Hey, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. Attack the Block, gang. Blah, blah, blah. Allow it. Ellis Cinema, Attack the Block. I got nothing left. This was just a rando for you. We gone.